Hello everyone, welcome to Insights by IDP. I am Sabrina Mahbub, Country Destination Manager, Canada, IDP Education, Bangladesh. IDP was established in 1969 in Australia and has been a global leader in international education, also operating in more than 60 countries all over the world. IDP has successfully placed more than 100,000 students per year in countries like Australia, Canada, USA, UK, Ireland, and New Zealand. In this platform of Insights by IDP, we will guide students on career paths, scholarships, program of interest, and other further dynamics that the students need to be aware when they're deciding on their further study destinations. Today, we will be talking about as one of the most prestigious and elite institution of beautiful Ottawa, which is ranked in number 4 in Canada in terms of research activity, postgraduate and undergraduate program, and other attributes for international students. It's my privilege to introduce Ms. Jessica Morrow of Carleton University. She is the International Recruitment Officer, Admissions. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you so much for hosting me. I'm excited to be working with IDP on this session today.
Thank you so much for being with her here today. So regarding Canada, Jessica, how would you distinguish Canada or highlight Canada as a study destination which is different from other destinations that our students look up to?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there's probably an hour's worth of information that I could share in that regard, but I can boil it down, I think, to 3 main points. So first, as people might be aware, most of the universities and colleges in Canada are publicly funded. So that means that the quality of education is really high. And that's not just in our major cities, that's in every town and city, in every province and territory across Canada. So if students are looking to study in Canada, they can feel very confident that, again, no matter the location or the size, that the institution that they're choosing will offer very high quality and internationally recognized education. So that's one. The second point I want to make, still in regard to the type of education, is that deeply rooted in how we educate in post-secondary institutions in Canada is that we have a philosophy of experiential learning. So that's hands-on learning or learning by doing. So I think we're going to talk about it a bit later, but something like co-op, where you're gaining work experience related to what you're studying, or the opportunity to be doing real life research, working in labs, working in field schools, traveling. All of these experiences that take what students are learning in the textbook and in the lecture halls, which is important, but it's as important, we feel, in Canada, for students to learn by doing, like I said, to figuratively get their hands dirty so that when they graduate, they can actually apply what they've learned in the real world. Now, the third point I want to make is in relation to work. And this is a little bit more of a technical response to how our study permits work. Now, this is going to differ in countries around the world. So it's important that students know what the work opportunities are in Canada. So there's a couple points here. First, on a study permit, if all of the conditions are right, a student is allowed to work 24 hours a week off campus. Now, this could be a part-time job like at a movie theater, a shoe store, a coffee shop, fast food restaurant. So just an opportunity for a student to earn a little bit of their own money. They can work unlimited hours on campus. And, we have jobs in the library, the bookstore, within departments, as a tour guide. So lots of opportunities, again, for students to earn some of their own money. On any official break, like the summer holiday, the winter break, students' part-time jobs can go full-time off campus. So again, another opportunity to work. So that's work related to their study permits. Now, another big advantage of studying in Canada is what happens after, and that's our post-graduation work permit, also known as the PGWP. So this allows students, when they graduate from a university in Canada, to stay for up to 3 years. And this is open, which means they don't have to be sponsored by a company. They can get a job, move on from that job, search for a new job, and that just allows them to gain additional work experience in Canada when they decide what their next step is, whether that's applying for permanent residency, returning home to Bangladesh, or anywhere else in the world that they want to pursue work. So I could go on, but I think I'll leave it there with my 3 top highlights about what really distinguishes Canada as a study destination. Back to you.
Thank you. That was a great, clarity on the programs and what opportunities Canada has to offer. You just mentioned co-op. So give us a very precise and brief idea as how co-op helps our students to boost up their confidence as well as a value addition into their resume for future jobs.
Sure. Now, that too could be an hour-long presentation in itself. So for folks who aren't familiar yet, co-op is work integrated learning. So what does that mean? Essentially, students can work throughout their degree in a field related to what they are studying. So usually, here's what a schedule would look like. In their first year, a student would just study. You're learning the foundation, the basics of your program. Your first summer, you have off for vacation, for work, to sleep. And then in your second year, that's when we start preparing you for co-op. So we're going to teach you those employability skills, how to make a professional resume, how to have a job interview, job search strategies. And then once you have all that down, you start applying for jobs. Now, what co-op is not is a placement. We're not going to give you a job. Part of the experience is finding the job, submitting an application, having an interview. Perhaps it doesn't go well. You try again with some coaching. So in terms of how students find jobs, universities across Canada, but I can speak specifically to Carleton, we have co-op staff who are networking on your behalf. So there's a portal a student can log into and search or filter based on what their program is, what their interests are. So once you do that, you'll see a number of jobs that are for students. Now, this is so embedded in Canadian culture that companies have budgets assigned to hire students. You are not competing against professionals who have been in their career for years and years. It's for students. So that's one way you can seek a job. The second is through your own network. So you might say, I have an auntie who will hire me in her office for the summer, or my dad's friend has made a position for me in their office, and that is fine too. So once you secure a job, then you start working. You work for a 4-month term at a time. And I want to be really clear on this. When you are studying, when you are working, I apologize, you are not studying and you are making money. This is not an unpaid internship. Students are paid for their work because they are bringing value. Now, students can do up to 16 months of co-op. So that could look like work, study, work, study. It could look like study, work, work, study. There's lots of different formulas that could look like. Now, the advantages. If it's not obvious already, by the time a student graduates, they could have up to 16 months of work experience before they've even graduated. So that's invaluable, of course.
So first of all, for undergrad students, accommodation facilities in Carleton, living cost over there, if they're residing in dormitory or outside the university, what would be the living cost and how they can go about it? So if you can, enlighten us on that.
Yeah, certainly. I hear this from students around the world, so I understand the pressure of thinking about where is my student going to live from families? How do I coordinate that from literally across the globe? I know that it can be overwhelming. So Carleton is very proud to be able to offer a guarantee of housing on campus for our students who are coming directly from high school. So when a student applies and gets their offer letter, if they're eligible, because they're coming directly from high school, it will indicate that they have a guaranteed spot on campus. So we take that pressure off immediately. So 2 things with that. One, students historically would be guaranteed for 8 months. That's the typical academic year from September to April. We have now extended that offer for a student to stay for the full 12 months. So we don't ask them to move out for the summer, but they can if they want to go home or make a move, but they can stay for the full year, which is a really great progress. And secondly, they can also opt in for the full 4 years and be guaranteed a spot as well. So really taking away that pressure, not just as they're moving from Bangladesh, but also throughout their academic journey. The cost for that can vary based on the style of room, but I'd say you're looking at approximately 14 to 15,000 Canadian dollars. I don't have the conversion for you, but really quite reasonable when you consider that that's a roof over your head, and that also includes an all-access meal plan. So students can access the cafeteria any time of day except for in the middle of the night, although they do have late hours when you're studying late in the library. So that's on-campus housing. The other point that I'll make is that what students are guaranteed is a traditional double room. So we do have a robust process of matching students with roommates. So that usually goes quite well. It's not completely randomized. Now, many of our students do also choose to live off campus. We have many really vibrant neighborhoods right around Carleton, but we're also very well connected by transit throughout the city. So people live all over Ottawa. Now, it's a bit harder to cost that for you because the situation a student might choose to live can really be different. You could be renting a room in a house, and that might cost you 600 Canadian dollars. You might choose to get a one-bedroom apartment all to yourself, and that could cost you upwards of maybe $1,800 a month. So it kind of really depends on how much money you choose to spend. Are you doing very expensive organic groceries, or are you on a ramen diet, for example? So, that really varies, but we do have affordable options here in Ottawa. We are a very student-friendly city, so you're going to see the varying types of accommodations off campus, but really on campus, if it's possible for a family, I couldn't recommend more.
Sure. Thanks so much. Looking into the current scenario for Canada overall, in terms of economy and the streamlined, regulation of the further post-study work permit. So what do you think, which would be the most potential job sector in Canada in the coming future? How can international students see themselves, working after they're done with their education?
Yeah, that's the question of the day, and it's always a bit tricky because, of course, I can't predict what the job market will look like when students who are applying to university today will be facing when they graduate in 4 years. But I will do my best, and we can revisit this in a few years and to see how my predictions were. So first we have to start with technology, because technology is huge, and Canada's tech industry is growing fast. So especially in areas like we talked about with our tech park here, cybersecurity, AI, software development, and data science. So, cities like Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver are full of tech companies that are hiring fresh talent, and that includes international graduates. The next area, which is no surprise to anyone, will be healthcare and life sciences. So, we have an aging population here in Canada, so there is an increasing demand for healthcare professionals. And I'm not just talking doctors, I'm talking researchers, people working in health tech or biotechnology, other areas of healthcare like dentists, pharmacists, optometrists. So that's definitely an area that I would encourage students to consider if they have an aptitude for science. Right. I will also, so two more that I want to highlight. So first would be supply chain and logistics. So I think we all saw that this became super important during the pandemic, but we're also seeing a resurgence of these issues with all the talks of tariffs right now. So business students with skills in operations, analytics, international trade, they're definitely going to find opportunities, I think, moving forward. And then I'll finish with this, which is green jobs, sustainable energy. This is on the rise around the world, but Canada for sure is investing heavily in clean technologies, environmental policy, sustainable infrastructure. So, that leads to jobs that we're seeing in engineering, but Also in policy, it's not just, it's one thing to create these technologies, but we also need people working in the policy field to make sure that these are important and recognized policies and laws moving forward. So hopefully that gives students something to think about, and that it's not all just about our engineers and our computer scientists, but we need students in the sciences, in research, in policy, in journalism, across the board.
But if we actually come into a conclusion for this session, then it's mostly like Canada has a lot to offer to international students, mostly in terms of affordable tuition fee, further more experiences while studying, and of course, further post-study work rights, the biggest one and the most highlighted one. Yes. So thanks so much, Jessica, for the session. And hopefully this will actually benefit our students in Bangladesh. Thank you, Jessica, for such useful insights on Canada as well as Carleton University. Hopefully, this will be a very useful session for students who are interested in Canada for their further studies. If you are interested for the upcoming intakes in Canada or even Carleton University, do visit our IDP branches at your convenient location. Also, looking forward to meet you on the next episodes.